I think the biggest thing that I've done in this last couple of years, really since COVID, is investing in yourself in the form of seeking out other coaches and mentors and training programs. I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars between conservatory and between a business coach and voice and speech coaches. Recently, a financial money coach as well. I think that's something that everyone underestimates. So under the heading of constant growth and constant evolution and wanting to always be your best, you can't really do it alone. And I think the best investment, it's like, yeah, you can put money in the stock market, or you can put money in crypto or mutual funds or whatever you want to buy some magic beans. But I think always the biggest and largest return on investment is going to be in your own education and your own training and taking your money and betting it on yourself. And I've been several times in my life where I've taken all of my money and like essentially put all my chips in banking and betting on myself. And that's something that I'll continue to do forever. And I think it's something that everyone, whether you're an artist or not, just invest in yourself in the form of coaching and training and continual up leveling. Well, hello. Welcome to episode 120. Hope everyone had a fantastic holiday season, or maybe you're still in the midst of your holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever it is you're celebrating. Hope it went great. All the peace, love, and turkey and bonbons you could stuff your face with. How you doing, Brandon?
I am fantastic, Lars. How are you?
I'm fantastic. This is a special episode. This is our last episode of 2022. Traditionally, this is an episode where we look back at the victories of the year and look forward to our goals and dreams of the upcoming year. But we also have a special announcement today, and that is that not only is this the last episode of 2022, this is the last episode ever. That's right. We are no longer doing Laughing Vikings Live, the podcast. This is it. This is the last one. Game over. We shut her down after 100 weeks in a row. We're like, no more. Now, before you shed a single tear or multiple tears, I just want to let you know the podcast will live on. However, not as Laughing Vikings Live. We're going to do a little rebrand, or we have done a little rebrand. And this is the first official announcement on the podcast. Want to get a little drum roll? Podcast will no longer be called Laughing Vikings Live. So don't look for it in your favorite podcast platform as Laughing Vikings Live. We have now rebranded to Inside the Audition. That's right. You're now listening to technically the first episode ever of Inside the Audition, although we're not scrapping the other episodes. So this is still episode 120, but it will now forever be known, at least until the next rebrand, currently known as Inside the Audition. So yes, and flash up the new. Let's show the new digs, the new graphics. Anyone who knows me, you know that there's nothing that I love more than a new graphic design and a new poster. I fucking love it. It's like one of my favorite things. I don't think there's a few. I was going to say I don't think there's a bigger dopamine burst. There's a few other things that I can do in my life that bring a big dopamine burst. But one of them is talking to a graphic designer to do a new poster for a new graphic and getting it back. I love that so much. To just explain why we rebranded it, when we first started it, being one of those people that didn't want to wait to start the podcast until they had the perfect name, And a lot of people do that. If you're waiting to start a podcast, I would just start it. Too many people are like, oh, what mic do I use? What platform should I use? What should it be called? And then they 3 years later, they still haven't started a podcast. So for us, when we started this, or when I originally started it, it was just going to be, I sort of generically named it Laughing Vikings Live so that it can encompass anything that Laughing Vikings as a company was doing. And the idea was to broadcast these live. But then as we sort of, we've reached a fork in the road where Laughing Vikings was producing comedy and stand-up shows. And then we also started doing a lot of self-tapes and audition services in the studio. So we were marketing really to two different people. We were marketing to and broadcasting to comedy fans and fans of stand-up and sketch comedy, but also helping people with their auditions and marketing our actor services to actors. So we branched out and rebranded part of the company as Actors Audition Club. But then what we're finding is most of our podcasts, we're talking about audition and audition related topics, improving your auditions, and talking to people, talking to other actors about their audition experiences. So we thought it would be best to rebrand the podcast so that actors who are looking for audition help can find Inside the Audition podcast, and just so that it was a little more connected to Actors Audition Club. So there you have it. This is the first episode of Inside the Audition. And let me tell you how we landed on that name. Oh, look at that. Yes.
There you go.
Great job by our graphic designer too. I sent her some ideas. I sent her headshots, and she came up with this real quick. And it's nice and simple, nice and clean, nice and sleek, slick, professional. Looks good. And one of our favorites. So let me tell you. Let's talk about this, Brandon. We can take it down so we can see our live faces. So Brandon and I last week. We've been thinking about this, and we talked about it maybe last quarter sometime, that into the new year we were going to rebrand it, but we didn't have a name yet. So we had a little jam session, brainstorm session. How many names? Actually, it didn't take us as long as it could have. We probably spent and I think we went out for, what did we go for?
We went out for breakfast, and
we were talking about it and brainstorming, and we sort of described like, okay, I want it to be about mainly focused on auditions. When you hear it, you should know what it is and who it's for. And if you look at your favorite podcasts, you kind of sense that. And when you hear the name, you're like, you get a sense for who the audience is and what they're talking about. And bonus points if there's a little double meaning or cleverness to it, but always clarity over cleverness. You don't want to use like a metaphor or something that people don't really get or goes over people's head. So we spent probably 2 hours. Well, we spent breakfast talking about it, and then we spent maybe an hour afterwards back at the studio while we were waiting, and we were just going through everything. I wish I had the list of. At one point, it was just going to be Actors Audition Club podcast or Actors Audition podcast, and I always, for anyone who's knows much about brainstorming, they say is like, it's like go for 20, like put 20 things on the wall, and it's usually never the first. It's either the first one and you're like, you nail it right away, or it's like the very, very last one. And for us, it was the very, very last one. We had a few on a short list, and then we landed on Inside the Audition, and maybe right before Inside the Audition, it was Audition Insiders or something like that.
I can read you. I can read you the old ones.
Let's hear some of them. Let's hear some of the losers here. Just a few of them. We don't need to get too much.
Yeah, we won't dig into this too much.
And Theodore says, love the rebrand. Happy New Year to both. Thank you, Theo. Appreciate you. Yeah, what's on that list? Rattle off a couple. And some of them were like, that's like the gist of it, but not quite, or that's kind of the word, but not really.
Oh, I deleted the note.
Oh, all right.
I deleted it. Sorry, everybody.
Well, basically every other combination of the word actor and audition and podcast.
Yeah.
And finally we nailed this one. So I feel like we nailed it. And as soon as we both heard this, we were like, ooh, because there's like Inside Baseball and Inside the NBA, and it's kind of a common common name for other areas or other avenues.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no Inside the Audition too. That
Oh.
actually surprised me as well. The domain is available, and so is the podcast. Hasn't been named that. So for those of you who have listened faithfully for our first 119 episodes, you will not find it under Laughing Vikings Live. Hopefully, it still comes up as your favorites, but everything's been switched over on all the podcast platforms. So now check us out at Inside the Audition. One of the things we haven't redone the opening yet, but one of the things we both liked about that was at the end. So it'll be something like, you're listening to Inside the Audition podcast, the podcast where we blah, 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 blah. And every week we blah, 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 blah. And now it's time to go inside
the audition.
Yes. Yeah. It's a great
Such a great catchphrase. It's great.
Yeah. And now, or when we have a guest, it's like on today's episode, we have our today's guest is blankety blank, and it's time to go inside the audition. Today we go inside the audition with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Is Tom Cruise on today?
Yes.
So that being said, thank you so much for everyone for the kind words about the rebrand. We're excited for it. So look for us at Inside the Audition. And the page, we can flash that. Actually, I'll throw it in the comments here.
Mm-hmm.
There is the official page, so you can go catch up. If you're just joining us today, you can listen to the other 119 episodes. And all of the video episodes are on YouTube, and the audio episodes are on every podcast platform. So whether you listen on Podbean or Spotify or Google Podcasts or Apple, we're everywhere. And we're everywhere flipped over as Inside the Audition. Now, today's episode, our final episode of the year, traditionally what we do is we want to look back at the year, celebrate the victories, look forward to next year. And I think this is something that everyone traditionally does in their own personal life, whether they do it formally or just in their head. It's although it's an somewhat arbitrary, man-made beginning and end, I guess somehow related to the moon and the sun, but still kind of an arbitrary thing. It's a good time to take stock of what you accomplished in the last year. Obviously, people have their New Year's resolutions and their goals. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a look at those things at last year and into next year, celebrate some wins. And we're going to have a few special guests into the studio. They're waiting backstage right now. Some of our fantastic audition heroes, our audition session directors, they're going to join us. And really the questions that we're going to answer today, I posed the questions in an email to everyone, are what are some personal victories you can share from 2022? Number two is some personal highlights as it relates to acting, auditions, and time working with Actors Audition Club. Number three is what are your goals and or dreams for 2023? And the fourth question we want to share and answer, and we'll sort of do this round table with some of our guests, starting with Brandon and I, is what is some advice that you have for other actors, either something that you've learned yourself or something that's been passed along to you from one of your coaches or mentors. So we're going to get into that. Now, first, I just want to share and celebrate some victories and wins from 2022 for Actors Audition Club in general, specifically some numbers here, Brandon, that you may not know, but guess how many self-tape audition sessions we helped actors with in 2022?
1,200.
1,200, not quite. We did 821 self-tape sessions here, and those were split. Most of them were in studio. It was 697 in studio auditions with our Toronto session directors. And this year, as we expanded into Zoom, that's 120 Zoom sessions with people all over the world. I know that we've got some people in the greater Toronto area that we've never met in person that Zoom in with us for the audition sessions. We did one in Portugal, in England, across the U.S. Anywhere else that I'm missing?
I'm not.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Korea. We did one in Korea.
Oh yeah, Andrew Park was on vacation in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, amazing. So we've gone global this year. So again, And I want to say thank you to all our actor clients, everyone who's trusted us with their professional auditions. And as a reminder, if you're just listening and finding us for the first time, what we do is we help actors record and shoot professional auditions without having to bug their family members and friends, without having tech troubles, without all the stress and anxiety of doing it yourself, so that ultimately you can elevate your performance on camera and book more roles in TV, film, and theater. And of those 821, I don't have an exact number, but we've helped actors book dozens and dozens of roles in TV, film, theater, and commercial auditions, and voiceover and video games as well, too, as two other areas that we've helped people with. So congrats to all the actors who are members with Actors Audition Club who have booked. It's been an exciting year. We've had a ton of people book some big jobs, like talking leads in sitcoms, leads in feature films, supporting leads in blockbuster films. Brandon booked a supporting lead in a feature film not too long ago. So we got, as we like to say, we've got some great booking mojo at the studio and some good vibes. So it's been really exciting to see that. And tying into that, another big win for Actors Audition Club is our expansion and growing our base of audition session directors. Some of you who you're going to meet today, but we brought on several new audition session directors, which allows us to expand and grow in our ability to help other actors book the role of their dreams. Ideally, is what we're all shooting for. So welcome to all those new session directors, namely, and again, you're going to meet some of them, but in Toronto, we brought on Cheryl Poirier, Jesse Elgood, and Sebastian Sage, and some of our remote Zoom audition session directors in the States. That is Monine Daly and Erin Elizabeth Reed. Special shout out to Katarina Vitkoff as well. She's based in Toronto and has helped run session directors via Zoom throughout the year, and also had a big booking recently. Shout out to Luna here, as you hear her barking in the background. I think somebody just came home here. I'm up at my dad's place about an hour north of Toronto, so Luna's up here with me. Luna, it's enough. It's enough. She's getting excited. Yes. So also Brandon just flashed it up there. For those of you who are new to Actors Audition Club, you can join the wait list at laughingvikings.com/join. And that'll get you on the priority notification list so that you'll be first to be notified when we do open the doors to our program, Actors Audition Club. And that's where you can learn the strategies and processes and best practices of today's working actors who are booking roles in TV, film, and theater, and voiceover and video games. So hop on that wait list and you'll be first to be notified. Now, what else can I want to share? At Laughing Vikings, we also did more than 40 shows in Comedy Alley, our comedy venue, our stand-up comedy venue. And that we entertained more than 400 guests. It's just a small little venue at maximum. It holds about 20 people. And so we did more than 40 shows, had over 400 people in the alley. And so one of the things I'm proud of as well is that was 140 paid spots for professional comedians here in Toronto. And Toronto's got just a wealth of comedic talent, but I'm really happy that we were able to give not only stage time, but paid stage time and put a little money in those comedians' pockets. Hang on one sec. I'm going to let Luna out of here.
If you haven't realized by now, Luna does run most of the inquiries at Laughing Vikings.
Right. She's also our security pug too.
Yeah.
So, what was I saying? So Comedy Alley, we talked about Actors Audition Club. Comedy Alley, over 40 shows, over 400 audience members, 140 paid spots for comedians. And a personal highlight from that was, for me, was getting to meet Bob Rubin, who's a longtime legendary stand-up comedian who's been doing it for 40 plus years. And it was really special having him in the alley over the summer. And one of the cool things, it was his first live show back after COVID. And on the tail end of COVID, he had some personal health issues that kept him out of the game just when he was about to get rolling after COVID. And so we had we got to see a legend in the alley here. So shout out to you, Bob. And I had the opportunity, after working with him in Comedy Alley and booking him, he booked me to open for him at some of his other shows too. So I had the chance to see him headline full shows and to be his opener, where I was doing 25, 30 minutes as his opener. And we've got some plans to do some more fun things in 2023. So shout out to the old Rube. I think he's back in Hollywood right now. He's back in LA. And on top of that, we did 52 podcast episodes, 52 weeks in a year, and we did another 52 podcast episodes. And one final thing that I just wanted to say relating to Actors Audition Club is those 821 sessions. Most of those, I didn't personally run. We have Brandon and our team of audition session directors. So the one thing that I'm really proud of is we're putting some side hustle money into some other actors' pockets and giving them a chance to use their craft on a daily basis, and to hopefully avoid some of their Joe jobs and the soul suckingness of those by providing some opportunities for actors to work with other actors here at Actors Audition Club. So both a thank you to all of our session directors and you're welcome, and just a proud a sense of pride in giving you guys an opportunity to grow your careers and to grow your businesses, and to avoid those crappy customer service or waiter jobs or whatever it is that you hate doing. Hopefully you've had some fun at Actors Audition Club avoiding those jobs. So thank you.
Yeah. And hopefully doing this has helped you improve your craft as well.
Yeah, for sure. Now let's get into the personal stuff. So Brandon, I'll save mine to the end, but I wanted to ask you your answers to those questions. First of all, personal victory in 2022.
I snapped a 3-year booking drought this year. I snapped it with a McCain commercial that ended up going national. And I'm really proud of the fact that I was able to book a commercial, a TV show, a movie, a supporting lead in a movie, and I also booked a theater show, which I was very, very proud to be a part of. Actually, a couple theater shows.
2 theater shows.
Yeah.
Yes, you played 2 princes in 1 year. You're looking at Prince Knox playing Prince Charming, and what was the other prince's name?
Brody.
Prince Brody.
Yep.
And what was the name of that show again?
The Prince's Big Adventurer by Stephen Elliott Jackson.
Right,
Yeah.
and that was at the Toronto Fringe Festival. And then you've been in Cinderella pantomime playing Prince Charming over the course of this holiday season. In November, you started, and then they renewed the run or extended the run to do another month of shows. So yeah, you've been busy. There was times, and on top of that, we did dozens and dozens of dinner theater shows with Big Time Entertainment and Murder Mystery Toronto. And there was times where it was like weeks where we're running audition sessions, having our own audition sessions. You're on set for TV and movies. We're doing these dinner shows at night and these kids theater shows during the day. So there was times where it's like a little bit of like, careful what you wish for. When all your dreams come true, your schedule gets pretty busy. So
yeah, and like I kept checking myself because I was like, and like pinching yourself as well, because like you wait so long, or you do so much to make sure that you're acting each and every day, and to finally get to do that after 10 years of working in this industry professionally, it was a dream come true. Dreams came true in 2022. Yeah,
and that was our motto at the beginning of the year. Dreams come true in 2022.
Yeah,
dreams come true in 22. What about favorite highlight from working as a session director and working with Actors Audition Club?
I've talked about it before on this podcast. Someone that was just in here doing a retake for an audition that they submitted a little while ago. They got notes from a casting director that they wanted to get done before the deadline, and Nitish Sakuja, making sure that he couldn't say that he has never booked anything through an audition or self-tape. That it's one of the proudest moments this year and of my entire life. I absolutely love that.
Nice.
Yeah.
And he's doing great too. He's on a good roll. Yeah. Shout out Nitish Sakuja, one of the regulars. And he's done some great things in stand-up comedy. He's had a big year in stand-up too, touring around the country and around the world, doing his stand-up. So yeah, we love to see him in the studio. Number 3 is dreams, goals for 2023.
I want to improve my singing. I want to improve just getting more confident with things. I think that's the biggest note that I've taken away this year, is developing my confidence. And the more that I feel that I am able to do, the better I know I am going to be performing. And I think that's the big difference between a beginning performer and someone that has been in the game for a little while, is confidence. They know what they want to do. They know what they're fighting for, and they execute that to a perfection. And I that's what I'm striving for.
Awesome. Yeah, confidence and consistency too. You reach a high level, but staying at that high level each and every
and like continuously doing your best each and every time. I think that's one of the most important things.
And it's number 4, advice to other actors, either something that you've learned yourself or something that's been passed through you through another coach or mentor.
Yep. Mine comes from Tom Todoroff. And I've talked about this before. Raise your personal standards to the heavens. Approach everything like you are the lead, and that you have been on set 4 days already. The more you do that, the better you're going to be, and the more you're going to get hired, because people are going to be like, this guy gets stuff done. This person gets stuff done.
Right. Yeah, you're a problem solver. You're a solution to their problem, to their casting problem. Love it. And let's flash. We have a banner for Tom's class. For those of you who are regular listeners, you can grab a free class. You can audit a free class at Tom's Saturday class. Go to laughingvikings.com/Tom, and you'll see the link there. You can sign up. It's an incredible international cast of actors from all over the world. His faculty is world-renowned from all over the world as well. And that class is 3 classes in one. There's text analysis, scene study, and a voice and speech class. They're really fun, really uplifting, and great community of actors. So we strongly suggest check out one of those classes. And you can do so at laughingvikings.com/Tom. Yeah. I love that .com and /Tom rhymes. All right, we got a couple special guests in the studio here that are popping on to join us as roving reporters in the field. Why don't we bring on, I believe she's in, is it Massachusetts or Connecticut or Rhode Island? She'll tell us where she is. I always forget. I feel like I said the wrong, yeah, we'll see. Anyways, she's one of my conservatory mates from Tom Todoroff's conservatory. Let's bring her on here. Moneen Daly.
Hey. Brandon, nice to see you. I know you know it. The live free or die state of New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. It was like I knew I wasn't like I was dancing all around it. I was like putting a pin everywhere around you. New Hampshire, right. Which isn't far from Rhode Island, which isn't far from Connecticut, which isn't far from Massachusetts.
Right? All of those things. Yeah, I'm like an hour and 15 minutes away from every major market around me. Yeah.
All right. Well, I get consolation points for being close.
So and welcome. You have said the live free or die state before, so you get credit for that.
I did know it. It was in my brain. It was in there somewhere. I just had to knock it out. Yes. So welcome, Moneen. We spent 8 fantastic months in Tom Todoroff's conservatory last year and the first half of 2022. And you popped on board here as one of our newest session directors, helping run some Zoom sessions remotely. So my questions are the same for you. Number 1, what was one of your personal victories in 2022?
It's interesting because it's like a little bit of a retro goal because I am more of a seasoned age. On New Year's Day, I'll be turning 57. And I started in the business when I was 19. I've done nothing but make my living at the microphone for all of these years. Amazing. And for better or worse, I'm still standing, or actually sitting right now. So an opportunity came up to do a live gig, and I had to audition for it. And I have to say, I was infused with a lot of you, Lars, and a lot of you, Brandon, because of how relaxed and casual you come, whether you're performing or you're directing, because you have the confidence of your tools. And all of our tools come from the same place, the Todorov Conservatory really feeds a good portion of our discipline and our methodology. So this was a live gig where I had to interact with the audience. It was online. It was a bunch of cold, corporate, boring 11 a.m. people. Okay, are you with me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I have to emulate what, a live, evening situation would be like. I had to curate a playlist based on the demographics. These are all things that I did in my late teens that I loved in live radio and live performances and haven't done in decades. And I got the gig. And yeah. And it seems like a stupid thing. Like, okay, that's not like a national thing. That's a local live thing or a regional live thing. But it had to do with my age and my state of mind, and that my intention was like, I want to be a leader in fun. I really want to have a good time. I really want to promote this establishment, and I'm going to do my best. And I did, and I got it, and I enjoyed it. However, I have to say I don't do it anymore because the time spent preparing did not equal with the time paid. So I'm not doing it anymore. But the fact that I got it and I enjoyed it, and post-COVID out in the world, and you know what it's like when you have a live audience. It's just you standing naked in front of everyone who's there, looking to you to provide entertainment, identity, security, stimulation, all of those things that you need to provide an audience with. So that was a lot of fun.
Amazing. Congrats. Thank you for sharing that. Number 2 is a highlight from any of your time with us here at Actors Audition Club.
Yeah, it's a little bit embarrassing, but I'm going to be honest about it, Lars, because it's telling. So, of course, we want to act like we know everything and we're confident and we have systems. But clearly, when it's the first time doing something, there might be a step missed. And working with one of your tremendous, talented, seasoned actors, I made a misstep. And so I was not able to capture the original takes that we were going for, and I needed to remedy that. So first of all, dealing with something quickly and not going into denial, which is something I think a lot of performers do. Like, I had prepared a Southern accent. I need to be from North Carolina. I prepared it for North Carolina. Well, no, we want you to do Minnesota, but you have North Carolina in your mind. So you have to let go of that. I made a tragic mistake, but I need to own it and I need to remedy it toot to sweet, like pronto.
For the record, I might say that tragic might be a too big a word for it. Nobody died in the result of it, but that is how seriously we take our auditions here. We always treat other actors' auditions like our own, and we know that every audition can be a game changer and a life changer. So we do really strive to make sure that everything goes well. And what you're describing is a technical glitch. So continue. By just not quite tragic, but
okay. Thank you for that. That made me feel better. Good. And of course, the talent was had a sense of humor and was professional and seasoned enough to pick up where we left off, and ultimately happy, and ultimately with a strong scene. And it wasn't just an everyday scene. It wasn't just like a motor oil commercial. It was going into anaphylactic shock and dying. So it was heavy lifting, but it was a happy ending, and it taught me to slow down, to go with my instincts, and just to do a test run. Okay, we're gonna do a 30-second little test here. You're gonna do some breathing exercises. You're gonna stay online. I'm gonna go back and review, make sure I like what I see, and then we're gonna continue on. And so that's just a foolproof backup redundancy system for me, which I learned the hard way first time out. Right. And so, I did drop into the fetal position and wanted the earth to swallow me up for a good period of time, but I lived through it and it taught me something. So
it all worked out. Yeah. And it was a good lesson early on too. It's a good lesson for checklists, especially with technical stuff. It's easy to miss technical things.
Right.
But one of my favorite things in life is fucking up and then fixing it. It's like,
Right.
well, it's pretty boring if you just do everything flawlessly always. And you don't learn from that. Somebody says that, I heard someone say the other day that like victories are bad lessons, or often no lessons. Like winning doesn't teach you a lesson, but losing or fucking up teaches you a quick lesson. So thank you for sharing that. Number 3, dreams, goals for 2023.
Okay. It's a bit of a reiteration because I've talked with both of you about this before. But I'm really a fan of online theater and webisodes. I really think there's been a lot of progress. I had an idea about a multilingual, multicultural morning show. And that has evolved into more of an idea about a variety show. And it's just whether it's our ensemble group, it's the actors at Actors Audition Club. There's no shortage of talent, like everywhere you look. People that I work with privately, people that we all work with. And I'd like to have an avenue of that. And I sort of enjoy being like, this is old school references, but like the Mike Douglas, Merv Griffin, Dinah Shore, those variety shows where you can have a serious conversation about socioeconomics, the environment, with someone who knows what they're talking about, and then also go into a pop song or 5 minutes of stand up and all right. That just appeals to me so much. That's what I'm working towards. I don't have anything tangible yet, but it's brewing.
All right. She's brewing it right now.
Exactly.
I like that. Sounds like kind of under the heading of one of the Todorofisms of everything is everything. Like nothing is only comedy, nothing is only drama, but real life and the real world is always a mix of both. So I like the and I think a lot of us love those shows where shit can be really heavy, and then all of a sudden it can get really light, and then it gets real heavy again, and then it gets funny again. So it's great.
Right. Right.
Well, throw it down on the calendar and start figuring out your reverse engineered little steps.
That's exactly it. Put an end date and back up. That's exactly it, Lars. I'm good because I've said this twice now in front of both of you. I'm going to be held accountable now because
I'm going to start texting you, be like, Monine, where is it? Where is it?
Because you two have to be part of it, clearly.
Great. And final question for you was advice you want to share to other actors that you've learned yourself or been something that's been passed on to you.
Trust your gut. Again, we're all going to quote Tom, another Tom Todoroff quote, first thought, best thought. Okay. And when your gut is telling you something, follow it. It doesn't matter if it's not logical. It doesn't matter if it's not linear. It doesn't matter if it doesn't match previous habits or familiar things. Go for it. And if I may just very quickly mention my son, Ian, who is a junior at Stonehill College in Massachusetts. And, he was studying chemistry and he was, doing all kinds of very serious, I'm going to get a good job. I'm going to make this education count. And I can't say that I'm a gleaming beam of success, but I'm a survivor. I'm a working survivor. And my son has seen every stage, the peaks and valleys of everything. And in the past couple of years, he's learned to play the piano. He was the narrator for the recent production at Stonehill, and he played 3 parts, including doing some theater combat, which we know a little bit about too from our studies. And to see him bloom from, I sort of make fun of him a little bit. I used to call him, the Amish one because he was so very reserved. But I feel through seeing him take chances and him seeing me take chances. We talk about the language of language. Like he comes home with a Linklater book and he comes home with Norton anthologies, and we're finding all of this common ground that's much bigger than just being a performer. and the way that he created some of his stagecraft so they could minimize scenes. I mean, everything was everything. And what he said was, it's not about me, it's about the production. And he was so humble about it. And right now, today, on this very day, even though I'm not in New York City, he's in New York City watching on Broadway. He's seeing Some Like It Hot, and with some of his friends. And so I know I sound like a mother bragging about her son, but it's just the proximity effect. And the fact that he's so much lighter and happier and expressive, instead of forcing himself to be, a square peg in a round hole. If you're feeling that, don't shush that. Don't think it's impractical. So go with your gut. If your gut is saying there's this itch I got to scratch, don't ignore it. Give a little scratch, and if it feels good, keep scratching.
Or get some lotion.
A little calamine lotion.
Depends what it is. Yeah. Maybe an antibiotic.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's great advice. Thank you, Monine. Any other final thoughts?
Take care of your mental health. Take care of your mental health. This winter, we have friends in Buffalo. Thankfully, we're not in Buffalo right now, but anyone who's endured weather, which is much more extreme these days, mental health, especially for actors who put their emotions on their sleeves and need to be centered and not be triggered by other things. I began therapy again. I thought that I was all set, and when things like go your way and you're on an incline, I got it together. Well, you need to maintain too. You need a neutral person to vent to, and so take care of yourself. Mental health.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, thank you, Monine. We love having you a part of Actors Audition Club here, and thank you for all your help and positivity as well. Check out getmovibe.com. Is that where they find you? Yep. And also, I just flashed this up here too. I'll flash it again. You can learn more about Monine. I think her bio is up there, and you can book a self-tape session directly with her. A remote session via Zoom at laughingvikings.com/Monine. So you can go to laughingvikings.com/Monine or check more about her voice work and voice training and teaching at Get Mo Vibes. Is it S or just Vibe?
Vibe. Getmovibe.com.
Getmovibe.com. We can put that in the chat too.
Yeah.
Getmovibe.com. There we go. All right. If you want to stick around, we can maybe bring you back for a final goodbye. If you want to hang out in the studio,
I do, because I'm very interested in the next guest, who I also have the privilege of working with on some level. So I'm going to stick around.
All right.
Yeah.
She's gonna stick
Thank you,
around.
guys. Thank you for letting me chat.
Oh, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. All right. Up next in the studio, she's backstage right now. She's an actor. She's a writer. She's a director. She's a graduate of Tom Todoroff's Conservatory, and she's a session director here with Actors Audition Club. Let's bring her in. Drum roll. Erin Elizabeth Reed.
Yeah.
All the way from Texas. I think you're muted still, are you?
Oh, I just unmuted. Oh, nope. There's no.
I fixed it.
Gotcha.
Nothing like tech trouble.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Sometimes you're in New York, sometimes you're in LA, and today you're in Texas.
I am in Texas at the moment, spending the holidays with my family, and because of our wonderful weather system here, I might be staying longer than I originally intended, but that's okay. That's what life is for. Adventure.
Yeah, you recently had, you were telling us backstage that you had ice and sub-zero temperatures in Texas, which has got to be rare.
Yes. Well, not rare per se, but definitely rare in this far south in Texas. But yeah, our entire front yard was like a skating rink for the birds. I mean, I was a little worried that some of the crows were going to get like frozen in the water, and I'd go out there and there would just be these poor little animals like stuck. But
right, and you're having to rescue them with a hairdryer and unfreeze their feet.
I would need a really long extension cord to get the hairdryer out there, but I would have found a way.
Right.
Luckily, they were smarter than that.
Good. No crows were died.
No crows were harmed in the making of this Christmas.
All right. Well, welcome. I know you had a big year and lots of exciting things. So first question for you is some personal victories from 2022.
If I had to boil just a handful down, I would say my top two were I had my stage debut in New York, and I also saw the first production ever of a play that I wrote in Los Angeles, and I had the privilege and the honor of directing it as well. So two massive wins for me this year.
Huge. And graduated from an acting conservatory.
And graduated from the conservatory, which was a near lifelong dream of mine. Yeah. I mean, so much has happened. It feels like, was that all in 1 year? But it was.
Right. Yeah. Graduating, like we graduated in May, and that already seems like 10 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So share more about the LA directorial, because I know you've acted in lots of things. You hadn't acted in something in New York, so that's huge too. But I know that directing an award-winning play in LA was a huge victory for you and something that was a milestone. So share about that.
Sure. Yeah, when it's your own project, there's just something extra special behind it. This was a short play that I wrote about 5 years ago, and some fellow colleagues from conservatory, we all banded together and decided to produce something to keep our momentum once we graduated from conservatory. We didn't want to let the high of what we had just accomplished and been through together in the last year with the conservatory fall off. None of us wanted to be run fallow. So we were like, let's produce something. I said, I have this play. They all said, yes. We were planning on actually producing it in New York City because that's where Tessie and I were both living. But fate intervened, and we actually got accepted into a festival in Los Angeles. So we ended up producing the show ourselves and performing at the Short and Sweet Hollywood Festival in October. It was a competition as well. So after the original run of 4 performances, we found that we had been named the People's Choice to move on to the semifinal round.
Which is always the one you want. Fuck the judges. Who cares what they say? You want to be.
So I will get into that. But because we learned that we were a judge's choice at the semifinal performance, which took us to the finals round.
There you go.
So I honor the judges as well. We did not end up winning the festival overall, but to be named as one of the top 8 plays in the entire festival, our first production out, was incredible. And one of my actresses was also nominated for a Best Acting award. And it was her first time performing on stage ever.
Wow.
So what
you better give them a shout out. Name your fellow
Deanna Nicole Shinsky, our very own Deanna, was nominated for a Best Acting award. And oh my God, I just cannot. I mean, the pride I felt at being at somebody's liftoff, shall we say?
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah.
I mean, I felt like a proud mama.
Totally. Yeah.
It was something I had never really experienced before, to bear witness to somebody else's like trajectory, and what a feeling. Yeah,
we talk about that all the time here at the studio at Actors Audition Club. It's obviously amazing when you book your own gigs and book your own jobs for many reasons, but I think almost bigger than that is when you help someone else book theirs, especially if it's a milestone booking or first booking, or I've helped some people where they broke a streak where they hadn't booked something in a long time, and then they consider you their lucky charm forever after that. So yeah, that's great. Congrats. And let's give a shout out to the rest of your cast.
Yeah. Also, mad props to Joanna De Leon and Tessia Rasti and Ksenia Babayeva, who all performed amazing roles and were beloved by audiences every night. It was so fun to be after curtain. I would begrudgingly encourage them to come out into the lobby to interact with the audience, because audiences were just, I mean, sitting forward in their seat for them every night. And so I knew they were going to want to meet them. And sure enough, I could just like sneak around and like see people flock around the girls. And I even heard one woman, after she got to talk with one of the actors, she turned around. She doesn't know who I am. And she just says, "I'm so starstruck."
Yeah.
That's hilarious. That's
It was wonderful.
Yeah. Awesome. I also just wanted to point out, a few minutes ago, you used the word that I don't think I'd ever heard again or heard before in my life, which is testament to the fact that you're a fantastic writer. You said we didn't want any of us to go fallow or run fallow. And I looked it up. Fallow means of farmland, plowed and harrowed, but left unsown for a period in order to restore its fertility as part of a crop rotation or to avoid surplus production. Or the non-farmer definition is a period of time characterized by inaction, unproductive, long fallow periods when nothing seems to happen. Yes.
Look at you, Webster.
Yeah. Well, look at you. I had to look it up because you use words that I've never heard before. You learn something every day. So thank you for that answer. Congrats on LA. Second question was highlights from your time working with Actors Audition Club.
Well, honestly, one of the standout moments that I've had was getting to celebrate one of our actors on a big booking that she had, and that premiered and aired. You know, she could finally talk about it publicly. It wasn't even an audition that I personally helped her with, but just being able to see and celebrate that win was massive. Shout out to Neetu. It's my girl.
Yes. Both you and Brandon have a big Neetu connection. I think I've only worked with her one time. Brandon's done, I don't know, probably dozens of Zoom auditions with her, and Aaron, you helped her with at least a handful now, probably six or eight. And she's always raved about both of you. I had, the times that I've worked with her, I had lots of fun, but she loves working with both of you, and she's got great results too. So shout out Neetu.
Yes, always. Yeah.
She's awesome.
Yeah. And dreams/goals for 23.
Well, if my past is any indication of my future, you know I like to keep a lot of things in the air. So I have a lot of goals, and I'll just share a few. I have been working in New York so far, unrepresented. So my most immediate goal is to seek and partner with Legit Rep in NYC. I'm very excited about that. I've also got another play that I'm looking forward to producing. This one I don't just want to produce and direct, but I'd love to star in it as well. So we'll see if I can wear all three hats now that I know I can wear two. What else? Oh, I'm looking to expand deeper into the voiceover world this year. I've worked a little bit in it and I love it. And one day, in a long-held dream, I will voice an animated character, a beloved animated character. And so our girl Monine is helping me with that. And so many other goals, but those are just a handful.
Monine's helping you put together and produce
a demo reel, my demo reel. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Amazing. And number 4 is advice to other actors.
Yes. This is something that I think I just heard recently, and it comes across as common sense, but for some reason it struck me new, so I think I'll share. It was when you have a callback, when you're given notes, don't alter your performance so much to try to give them what you think they want. Take a beat, process the note, and deliver a change that still remains grounded in who you are and your original performance. Because that's why they brought you in.
Right.
Was because of what you originally did.
Yeah.
You didn't come in as a green frog, and if they say, can you be a green frog with a horn, you morph into a unicorn.
Right.
No, like process the information and be a horny toad, you know, like.
Yeah, that's a little bit don't throw the baby out with the bathwater kind of thing too. Like,
Yeah.
Keep enough of the original performance and then make some change, show that you're directable or redirectable.
Right. Yeah.
Great.
I mean, we hear that a lot, I think, with the first round auditions. Be yourself. Don't try to second guess what they want. But so it was a nice refresher. Like, it still holds true in the callback scenario. Right.
Yeah. Another piece of advice that relates to that is with wardrobes was show up looking like the same person, so that they're not, if in their head there was like, if it was like, oh yeah, girl in the yellow dress, and then all of a sudden you show up looking like a goth in a black dress, then there might be a little disconnect, especially if they've looked at 500 auditions and they're whittling it down. They're like, well, who are you again? You're not the girl. I remember the girl in the yellow dress. And you'd think that people would be able to keep track of that stuff, but it is important, and it helps casting slot everyone in their minds and helps people remember who you were actually. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great. Let's bring Monine back on here. I'll share some of mine and then we'll sign off here. So some of mine, I mean, I already, we talked about Actors Audition Club wins through the year, and obviously those are big for me too. Personal, I think the biggest thing that happened to me this year was graduating from conservatory program with Todoroff Conservatory. That was something that I got into acting and stand-up. I would, what some people might call late in my life. I was 31. I had already done a 10-year career of financial services and in the corporate world before I got into this. So I didn't go through the traditional theater school or film and TV school route. I learned a lot by being on set. I did a lot of background. I did every indie and student production that you could possibly do, and then had a piecemeal training of workshops and intensives and online learning and just my own learning. But I'd never gone through that all-encompassing foundational type program. And so in the back of my head, I started to anticipate having or reaching a point in my career where I was going to have imposter syndrome, where the further I went, I would be lined up against people who had gone to Juilliard and had studied with the Royal Shakespeare Company and had all this, just this amazing foundation of training. So I was starting to think like, oh, I kind of need that. And as luck would have it, the pandemic happened. Things were a little slower with live performances and live shows otherwise. So I was like, no better time to do this. And Todoroff Conservatory, for the first time ever, did a hybrid model where you didn't have to be in New York necessarily. You could do it from remotely wherever you were. So, and they reduced it from 2 years to 8 months. They had a full 2-year program, and then they just jam-packed everything into 8 months. So I was like, yeah, I can do this in 8 months. And I don't know that I would have bit it off if it had been 2 years. And that was an incredible experience. Get to meet you guys, got to meet, like, what was it, 21 other people, or I forget how many of us there were, but
yeah. So 19 others.
Our band of brothers and sisters through Todoroff, and that was a huge foundation for me. Just a lot of pride to even put those names and name drop on my resume. People like Mary Lou Rosado and Andrew Wade, and of course Tom, and all the other, like, dozens and dozens of other faculty that were incredible. And now we have lifelong relationships with them, and we're able to message them and email them and ask questions when we've got something coming up, and just be friends with them. That's really cool. And that was part of my goal starting conservatory, was, of course, learn everything we can learn personally as an actor, but a big part of it was to create a community and to meet a community of actors, largely based in the New York area, and to connect with the teachers and faculty, so that I've got a sort of a lifelong Rolodex of people that I can rely on and count on and grow with and spend time with over the years. And that's all of that's already come true. So that was a huge one for me. Number two was the highlights. I think the highlights for me in Actors Audition Club is always when we get feedback that somebody's booked it. So no individual booking really stands out. There's been lots, and they've been big ones, lead roles in sitcoms and leads in feature films. And so it's those, and when we get 5-star reviews on Google and Facebook, where someone comes in, does an audition, and then we get a rave review talking mainly about how fun it was and how relaxed it was and how they got lots of strong suggestions and redirects. But the underlying note that we always get in all of our reviews is how much fun it was, and that it wasn't stressful, and it wasn't full of anxiety, and it didn't feel like a rigid act in anxiety. It's supposed to be fun. As Tom always says, it's called a play. So that for me is the biggest thing. Yes, it's called a play. It's called a play. It's not called a serious. Number 3, goals and dreams in 2023. I've got a handful of them. The short list is to spend more time in LA and New York, in the States. I'm dual citizen, and I've never really cashed in on it. So I've got friends who fucking hate me and are so, like, they don't hate me, but they hate the fact that I have the ability to tap into the US market when they don't. Or in order to do it, it's a long road of legal things to get their visas and paying $10,000-$15,000 and building this case to get a visa, which takes a long time. And the holy grail for every Canadian actor and stand-up is to get the fuck out of Canada. Which is changing. I think that is changing as our market grows here. But it's something that I want to spend more time in New York and LA for both stand-up and acting opportunities and theater opportunities. The second thing would be creating more of my own projects, specifically writing a feature, or at least getting a treatment for a couple features done, comedy features, and a sketch comedy show, putting together at least the Bible and pitch package for a sketch comedy show. And the third thing that falls into that is some type of one-man show, whether you want to call it a one-man show or just a full stand-up hour, is developing a new stand-up show that I can tour, that is personal to me and personal to my life stories, and sharing more of my life stories, but obviously from a comedic standpoint and a fun standpoint. But yeah, I would love to be Mike Birbiglia is an incredible stand-up who has a Broadway show. It's like he's toured all over the world doing stand-up, and now his stand-up shows fall more into the one-man show category, where it's storytelling and act outs and all those kind of things. So that would be a huge goal for me, would be to develop that type of show where I can tour that anywhere, do a run at a Fringe show at Toronto Fringe or Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and just have that type of show in my back pocket that I can remount and tour across the world and share with the world. So that's my list. Number 4, thank you. Number 4 is advice to other actors. I think the biggest thing that I've done in this last couple of years, really since COVID, is investing in yourself in the form of seeking out other coaches and mentors and training programs. I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars between conservatory and between a business coach and voice and speech coaches. Recently, a financial money coach as well. I think that's something that everyone underestimates. So under the heading of constant growth and constant evolution and wanting to always be your best, you can't really do it alone. And I think the best investment, it's like, yeah, you can put money in the stock market, or you can put money in crypto or mutual funds or whatever you want to buy some magic beans. But I think always the biggest and largest return on investment is going to be in your own education and your own training, and taking your money and betting it on yourself. And I've been several times in my life where I've taken all of my money and like essentially put all my chips in banking and betting on myself. And that's something that I'll continue to do forever. And I think it's something that everyone, whether you're an artist or not, just invest in yourself in the form of coaching and training and continual up leveling and elevating your own everything.
Love
Yeah.
that.
Amen to that.
Right on.
Snaps.
Right on. So that being said, this brings us to the end of episode 120, the last episode ever of Laughing Vikings Live, and simultaneously the first episode ever of Inside the Audition, as we bring 2022 to a close and we launch off into what I can only assume is going to be all of our best years ever. Best year. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
What about a James Lipton moment, Lars? Inside, I sort of had like a bit of a lofty James Lipton idea that maybe you'd say, please tell us a word that you love, a word that you hate.
Your favorite word.
Any of those questions?
If you're asking me, I think one of my favorite words is penultimate. I've always been a big fan of the word penultimate for some reason.
And you don't have to look that one up. You know that one?
Oh, yeah. It's second to ultimate. Yeah.
I do. Yeah. I have to look
Not
that
the
up.
ultimate. It's the second last ultimate. It's the one below ultimate. What else? Hullabaloo. I like words like hullabaloo. Yeah. And what's all the... Yeah, hullabaloo and penultimate, I would say. What about you? Favorite words? Let's go around the horn.
Favorite word is yes.
Nice. That's a good one.
Yes.
Least favorite word is no.
Yeah, basically.
Aaron?
How can I pick? There's so many great words.
Yeah.
Play. I think play is up there for me. It's a simple word, but encompasses so much.
Right. BK Broiler?
I'm going to go with mischief. I like mischief.
Nice.
Number 13.
Yeah.
Mischievous. Yes. I want to shout out too. I think this is the first time we ever had this Brady Bunch vibe here where we've got the four quadrants. We've only ever had one guest on it. Yeah, for those of you who are just listening to this right now, you're missing out on some beautiful faces here in our quadrant. Oh yeah, there you go. Right. Yeah.
Right.
There you go. High five me. Quit switching. There you go. Brandon's having some fun with the dials here. So.
I'm going to be Dallas B. Davis.
Yeah. Right. All right. This is great. This has been amazing. Thank you, everyone who's tuned in live. If you're listening on the podcast platform, make sure to like and subscribe, leave us a rating, leave us a comment. And to get involved with the action here at Actors Audition Club, you can go to laughingvikings.com/auditions. You can also, and actually, just go there, laughingvikings.com/auditions. You'll find a link to our free workshop, our audition workshop, Audition Hero. You'll also find a link there to the waitlist right at laughingvikings.com/auditions. And we will see you next year, inside the audition. I love that.
It's been my great good fortune to be with you, Lars, Brandon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Love you all. Thank you.
Happy 22, everybody.
Love you guys.